Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again for another In Conversation at Home. We have the artist Jo Breninger with us today, and we have been excited to catch up with Jo because obviously isolation has meant a lot of things for all of us, but Jo often works with the outdoors, and that's, if you're familiar with her practice, that you would see that there's a lot of animals, particularly horses.
I often go and visit a friend who lives down in Exeter, which is in the Highlands, and she's got a few horses down there. So it's just a matter of me going and hanging out with the horses. I take photos, I draw, I just absorb it really. So, I've got quite a bit of reference, I guess, that I've stored up from being down there. I love the silhouette of horses. So I've taken some really good photos. So I've brought them all back. And I'm in 40 square meters at the moment, which
Wow.
is, very small.
Yep.
And I kind of freaked out at first because I've been just hankering for a farm somewhere, a studio in a farm, like a barn. That's what I'd really like. Like I had that experience last year of working in a big barn for a month, and I just really went. I've got my workshop where I do all my paid work, and again, it's a bit dodgy over there with the COVID, so I'm here. And so I decided I really needed to make my work smaller. And I have a bit of a love for Japan. I don't know if you know that as well. Anyway, I do. And so I thought I'd combine the two. So there was one place open up at Terry Hills where they sell old antique Japanese stuff. So I thought I'm going to go up there and get a whole lot of old newspapers.
Wow.
And old books and postcards, and with all the beautiful writing, and they're kind of from the 60s, I think, all the old postcards. So I've just been painting those. And I've been really using my practice just to, my practice is still it's just such a discovery for me still yet. I haven't got a really formal way that I know where I'm going. I just sort of see what comes out. So I've got these newspapers, and I've cut them up, and I just put them down, and I spend about an hour just letting loose with abstract stuff, like just picking up. I give myself a limitation of about 4 colors, and then I just lay them down and just let whatever comes out. And then once I've loosened up a lot, then I start painting the horses. And again, I have photos, but I don't draw them up or anything. I just kind of feel the horse, like I've always done,
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and I started to get a collection of these pretty wild looking pieces of paper and splodges of paint and horses. And then I was talking to JP, Julie Patterson, and I wasn't so keen to do a lot of Zoom stuff. So, because they were doing dancing Zoom, she sent me a letter with an artwork and how she's feeling at the moment. And I thought, awesome. So we've been writing letters and doing artworks for each other. And so I've decided to do it to anyone I have a thought about. And so what I do is I give them one of the abstracts with the horse. I just have a whole lot of fun with them, and do all my combine everything and pack them up, and it's just a lovely way to connect with people.
That's lovely, yeah. And I think I was about to say that I think people have had to be a little bit more creative, because it's often not everybody wants to use Zoom. We are looking to connect with people differently just because we're thrown out of our comfort zone of how we normally connect.
Yeah, and going down the rabbit hole of the internet all the time, I don't love. I use it so much. We're kind of using it to watch stuff and look stuff up, and you look at your computer for reference and all that. And I just needed to get out and do my artworks a different way. So it's been it's a warm fuzzy feeling I get from doing it.
I loved when you said you were having 40 square meters, and I went, with Pinky, like you've got to share that with Pinky.
Oh, yeah. She's great. She's a good companion.
Yeah, of course.
Also with the COVID, I was getting out a bit, but I felt a bit sick, and I actually went for a test because we've got the testers here, and it came back that I was okay, but they called me a bit later and said, you've got whooping cough.
Oh, wow.
So I had to go into real sort of 40 square meter lockdown. So anyway, it's been good. And these are the kind of little postcards that I'm painting on.
Can you read Japanese characters?
Not at all. Could say anything. Beautiful handwriting and stuff. They also sell these great old photos. I've got this old horse stamp incorporated into the artwork, so it looks like there's horses in the distance.
Yep.
And then I got these cheeky little Japanese ones that I do.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if that's what I think it is, that looks awesome.
What you think it is.
Yeah, that's great. Did you get them in Japan?
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible.
The other thing I do is I have little old Japanese notebooks. It's just like a sketchbook for me, you know. I don't know what this thing is with the horses. I really couldn't tell you. But it's just something about just painting something over and over again till you know it so well that,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'll let you know when I find out what it's about.
I look forward to that. No,
Yeah.
if you remember in our last artist talk that we did in the gallery for your show, and people had so many ideas about what it could be referencing, and I noticed that you were just kind of like taking it in, but going, I really wasn't going there with that. So that's interesting.
You know what? It's just about paint for me. You know, I've been using paint my whole life. For me, it's about paint. I don't know. And the horses can invoke such a feeling.
Yeah. Any other animals or just a horse?
I've done one cow.
And how was that? How was the world of the bovine for you?
You know, I have been actually doing a lot of stuff from, I did a bovine from where I stayed down at the cattle farm.
Yeah.
And I just found it too bloody hard, you know, because they all get, you know, killed.
Yeah.
I follow the Snowy Mountain Brumby. I think, you know, I've just got to come to terms with it a little bit and understand that, you know, shit happens and, you know, can't hide under a rock. You know, I do paint horses and so yeah, I think I will approach her at some stage and just say, can I come out with you? She hikes out into the mountains.
Completely physical. Yeah. Wow.
It'd be physical and fabulous, and I think it would change my work a lot.
Those little notebooks that you have, I'm loving that you're pushing two of your interests together in quite a easy to understand way. Like, it's obvious, you know, here's a Japanese reference item and here's a horse and I'm putting them together. Like, it's quite simple, but the results are actually quite striking because there's something about paint over paper that's already been written on, and I think that leads back to, you know, historical forms of just like reusing material and things so that you know, you're not wasting or anything. Like, it comes back to this idea of utilizing what you had. And I think so painting onto newspaper or old paper and old postcards, it's almost this nice little reference to that time, but at the same time it's Japanese, so it's not like you just had it laying around. So it's got a beautiful kind of sense of nostalgia there as well. When you send out those letters, do you document the work that you're sending?
You know, I looked at my phone and realized I hadn't taken photos of a whole lot of stuff, and so yeah, a lot of stuff's gone out there without me documenting. But what I want people to do is when they get them, if they want to keep them and they like their work, I want them to always keep the abstract and the horse together.
Yep.
You know, I want it to be one work.
It's part of the narrative, I suppose, is what people do when they get them.
See, if you look closely, it's just the daily Japanese newspaper. There's something about it not being a valuable material.
Yeah.
So I've got nothing to mess up.
Yeah.
Be completely like, just make a mess, you know, make it shit. Just make it as shit as you can and then see what, you know, because then you find the good stuff, you know. By being able to just really experiment and make mistakes, that's where I'm finding good stuff, which then I want to, when I get out of here, blow right up again. There
was this idea of like broaching a perfect canvas that's all white and you feel intimidated by it. And so I remember a lecturer suggested, well, paint on cardboard, paint on newspaper, paint on curtains, anything you have around. Yeah. To get that feeling of intimidation away, remove the preciousness that's been put onto this idea of a canvas, because that's its, you know, nature is to have perfection and mastery. Remove that from it. So that's an interesting way that you've kind of come to that term on your own as well, just being, make it messy, see what happens, and it's not a loss. You know, I've got a few really huge works here in my house that I did either rolled up, again on paper, and I realised I don't know how to frame them. I don't know what to do with them. They are so big that they're a bit unruly. Refuse to stay on the wall. It just like pinged off because it's too heavy. Kind of wondering about the big works because, you know, you do these works, you don't really want them to go in a dusty corner somewhere.
So yeah, I'm kind of trying to work out what I do with the big works. I mean, I love to do the paste ups, and I'll always do paste ups, and I want to do more. But yeah. So these little ones have been really good for me. I love isolation. I really, really, this year I kind of decided it was going to be painting was going to be more my number one than work. So I have thoughts about when I get out of here, I wouldn't mind just getting on the road. This regional areas seem to really suit me, and setting up in old shops or something, a studio.
Yeah.
For a month or something, just renting an old shop for a month somewhere out west, far away, and just hitting the brushes, and just going for it and see what comes out, and then go somewhere else.
I've always thought that with your work as well, some of the paste ups that find themselves in the cities, I do recognize and love the idea of bringing those, animals which would never be found in the city into it. So kind of bringing the regional aspect or the agricultural side of Australian, identity into the city. And it's kind of those things where I think that city dwellers kind of almost appreciate it, because it is this kind of breath of fresh air of imagining a country, and you feel suddenly like giant horse, and it feels reflective and contemplative, and you kind of think out of place here, but perfect, so.
It does kind of bring that quality to it, I think, a horse. That kind of slowing down, reconnecting with something out there that we kind of naturally kind of love. And yeah, I have had a push to move towards the country, but being here, I have also started to think about, I've really started to enjoy where I am in the city. I live in an amazing place. I'm in 40 square meters, but I've got the ocean right here. I'm in Bronte.
And that's like, yeah, you've got a beautiful spot to be doing this sort of work and the contemplation, but you're still cooped up. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it?
I have this massive old graveyard on the hill that looks out over the city. And me and Pinky love to go to this graveyard. It's really old, and it's full of incredible history and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just haven't been that in touch with my ancestors, really. And my brother came over the other day and said, "Do you know we've got relatives there?" I was like, "What?" And he took me over, and we found my great grandmother and my great grandmother.
Wow.
I lived here in the 80s, and then I come back in the last 5 years. I always get drawn back here.
Yeah.
So it just kind of opened up the world here for me a little bit, that I've got these ancestors up on the hill. Wow. And I found out grandfather used to have horses, like droving horses. So I'm going to go and look at the history of that a little bit. It's actually something I've been interested in a little bit more, is old stockmen, and the old Indigenous stockmen.
Yes.
And my grandfather had an adopted brother who was Indigenous, and they were both stockmen together. Yeah, I'm going to go and have a look at all that, and just maybe paint a bit of stuff around that history, So,
yeah, that's exciting.
So, yeah, COVID, isolation, power.
And I guess if this is how you normally work, though, is on your own, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm totally used to it. Yeah. It's been for me, it's like, oh my God, fantastic. How great. It's been a little challenging in here, and, as I say, moving into the smaller works, but it's kind of revealing a few things to me.
And I'm really happy that you've got such a positive outcome, is that you're making different sort of work. So that's exciting.
I am a bit worried about artists in general at the moment, especially around the film industry where I work. I mean, I'm lucky in my business that I'm the sole proprietor. All my work did evaporate. My paid work, I was supposed to be coming to Brisbane actually to paint murals in one of the hotels, and that got canned. And I've had a few jobs canned, but all my mates at the film industry, they're just not getting supported at all. So yeah, I feel a bit, be nice to have some sort of campaign to bring that to light. I mean, they do, but when will this government ever get behind the arts a bit more,
Yeah, I know. It's definitely something that's probably been brought to light more than ever.
Bringing everything to light, everything that's a little bit wrong is being brought to light.
Yep. It showed what was broken. Well, I'm really excited. I feel like you've got some interesting things happening. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in or streaming this, however you have come across it. It's been absolutely my pleasure to chat with Jo and Pinky. Pinky's been very excitedly and enjoying our conversation in the background there. But yeah, absolutely lovely to hear about what you've been doing and about your plans for the future. So love to touch base again sometime soon and see how you're going with everything. I know restrictions will be lifting soon, but I think for a lot of artists, they're going to probably continue to do what they've been doing because, you know, it's hard just to pick up creative work here and there, especially when it's just restrictions lifting, not actual industry changes yet. So yeah, hopefully you find yourself in a good position to be picking up work again when you're able to. But yeah, for the meantime, I guess we'll say goodbye and we'll touch base again soon.
Okay, thanks.
All right.